Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another edition of Movie Goodness here on the KB Radio Network. This is the season review of the HBO Max adult animated mystery horror comedy show Velma, based on the character Velma Dinkley from the Scooby-Doo franchise. Well, what can I say about Velma? Velma was I was highly anticipating Velma. Um, Not like over the moon excited. I never was a big Scooby Doo guy. I watched the cartoon, of course, like everybody else. I enjoyed it for what it was. I actually liked the last animated movie they released. I think it was during the pandemic. Scoob. That was all right. I enjoyed that. It didn't set the world on fire, but it was decent. And the live action versions, I really didn't. I never really gravitated to those. I don't even think I watched the second one. Don't believe I watched all of the first one. I just wasn't a Scooby Doo guy. I mean, it was what it was. I didn't hate it. It just wasn't my jam, but I know of it. Because I did watch the cartoon growing up, and I was anticipating this because it looked like a fresh take on the property. This wasn't based on, or should I say, this wasn't going to be set around Scooby. It wasn't going to be set around the dog. It really wasn't going to be set around the uh the group per se, or at least them being together, even though they are in the show. But we never did get Scooby, so there's that, which is fine. The show is called Velma, so we were going to focus on Velma. Uh, Mandy Cowling, who some of us may know from The Office. She had her own show, The Mandy Project, and numerous of other projects she's been a part of. Very talented, very funny, and she is voicing uh, Velma in this show, along with executive producing the show. And along with her, we have Sam Richardson, uh, Constance Wu, and Glenn Hollington, who we may know from Is Always Sunny in Philadelphia, one of my favorite shows, and I love him. Also, is it AP Bio, that show that's on NBC? At least it was on NBC. He was on that as well, but he lends his voice as well as along with many others. This was the worst show I've ever sat down to watch. All 10 episodes. There's not an episode on here that with the exception of the first episode. The first episode was decent enough for me to continue on and watch the the remainder of the season. There are 10 episodes total, but the first episode it got me hooked. It had a nice little story, and I thought, okay, maybe it'll get better. I mean, the first episode wasn't great by no stretch of the imagination, yet it was just enough to hook me to finish out the season. Because once we got to like episode 4 or 5, I was mentally gone. I really didn't. I was not invested. I knew at that point this is not going to get any better, but I was too invested. I had to keep going, and they dropped 2 episodes a week, and they finally wrapped up this past Thursday, and it was not good. Here's the plot of this first season. Willing to bet money it'll probably be the last as well, but stranger things have happened. The plot goes as this. The series serves as an alternate universe origin story for Mystery Incorporated, and is pitched as a love quad triangle between them. All of the we talking about Velma, Fred, what's the other one name? I forgot what's old girl Daphne, I think. Yeah, Daphne and Norville, who we all may know as Shaggy. All those four are all in this little love triangle or square. I don't know what it is, but that's that's the basis of this season. It primarily focuses on Velma, though. Um, as she tries to solve a mystery regarding the disappearance of her mother, as well as the numerous murders of local teenage girls. Like I said, the first episode was interesting. It like okay, we got the murders. There's a plot. There's a murder plot going on. There's a mystery going on. She has to solve it. Uh, and we're off to the races. This was so unfunny. There was nothing funny. I didn't laugh. I didn't laugh in this show. At no point. At no point. It was just stupid. Honestly, it was slow. The, None of the characters were engaging. The show was called Velma. It's centered around Velma, and I found myself at times just despising her character. Honestly, her character was like the worst character on the show. I was more interested in Norville. I was more interested in Fred. I was the supporting characters. They were more interesting. Velma was just poor. It was just poorly written, and the jokes didn't land. The mystery was dumb. They tried to play homage to the original Scooby Doo with the way they solved the mystery at the end and revealing who was the murderer, and with the missing mother thing, and it was just all over the place. And then on top of that, you have Velma and Daphne. That's the name, Daphne. They had a thing going on, which was an interesting twist. That Velma is bisexual because she was not only into Daphne, but at the same time she was into Fred. She had a crush on Fred, and at that point, we find out what we already knew from the word go, that Norville or Shaggy was into Velma. So it was it was just this teenage high school thing going on, I guess you could say. Even though I never seen anything like that in high school, maybe because I hung around the wrong people. I don't know, but it was just so it was so ridiculous. You have all that going on. You with the adults, Velma's father having an affair with a waitress who he got pregnant, and she's having a baby. Act like he didn't care about the mother being missing or his wife being missing, and it was just so much going on. I can't even describe it. I was gonna talk spoilers, but honestly, there's nothing to spoil here. This was just a horrible show. Honest to God, I've never been so disappointed in my life. It got to the point, like in episode 6 or 7, somewhere up in there, I lost count, that I was praying that Scooby would come along. That would have, I think, the addition of Scooby would have helped. Actually, I don't think that would have saved it. It was just bad, man. It was just bad because at at the point where I'm talking about, around 6 or 7, you start hoping and wishing for Scooby. You know, that you weren't missing them because I understood what they were trying to do. Making this a Velma show, but like, man, Velma is not engaging, man. You're supposed to cheer for the protagonist in your story. At no point I didn't cheer for her. She was aggravating. Uh, I can't even describe her. Honestly, I can't describe her, but I did not connect to Velma. Now, I see that they were trying to make her the smartest person in this town, whereas everybody else were just bumbling idiots. And I mean everybody, from from the kids at the school to the adults to the murderer, everybody was a complete idiot. But at the same time, so was she at points. She didn't really solve anything, until the end. And then when she did solve things, they were so outlandish, so out. You know, what's his name? Sherlock Holmes wouldn't have been able to catch the clues that she caught. It was just out of left field. But other things she just could not pick up on. The simplest things she couldn't pick up on. But she found this just hidden clue that was so minuscule that honestly, Batman wouldn't have been able to decipher. It's like, where are we going here? Is she a genius or is she a moron? Because I'm talking bouncing from scene to scene, sometimes in the same scene, and it was so frustrating to watch. It did to get to the 10th episode where I was like, okay, at least end with a bang. We didn't get nothing in the previous 9 episodes. At least end with a bang. Nope. Nope. They managed to bumble a pretty decent cliffhanger in episode 9. Episode 9 ended with a pretty good cliffhanger. And they messed it up in episode 10. And it was just frustrating. Very frustrating to watch. I really have no other words for Velma. I just had to get it off my chest. I wasn't planning on reviewing it, but I was so mad. I'm so mad at this show that I wasted, 5 hours of my life. That's 5 hours of my life I'll never get back. And it stinks. It really stinks. And I regret every single minute of it. Velma, available on HBO Max, gets a letter grade of an F. There is no redeeming quality about that show. Man, I'm so disappointed with that show. did did y'all enjoy Velma? I don't know anybody who even watched the show, for one, but all the reviews that I've read pretty much have the same sentiment. Actually, I'm being nice. You think this is harsh? Boy, you ought to read some of the reviews that I've read, because I didn't want to just jump out the window going crazy on this show. I didn't want to be the only one. This is the only time that I was like, man, I really should leave this alone. But this one got everybody mad. It's warranted. Sometimes I'll read reviews and I can tell that it's just people are just hating it for hate's sake. You know what I'm saying? And I'll watch it and like, man, they just don't like it. They just want to be hateful. This time around, no, they were spitting hot facts. This was horrible, man. Horrible. Disappointing. Very disappointing. But maybe it's just me and those other 100 critics that said the exact same thing. But how do you feel? Do you think it was that bad? I think it was horrible. This was a waste of time, money, and effort. I'd like to know your thoughts, though. Email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. Also, look me up on Twitter at KB Radio Network, and you can look up the KB Radio Network on all social media platforms. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you're currently listening to. And don't forget that we are on YouTube. Head over there and give the KB Radio Network a subscribe. Thank you for joining me today, even though it wasn't a happy-go-lucky episode or a happy-go-lucky review, but man, I had to do it. I had to do it. This was bad, man. This was bad. This is probably the worst thing I've watched in forever. If I got to sum it up in one word, it'll be jinkies. And if you watched Scooby-Doo, coming up, you know what jinkies mean. This show is jinkies. Man, Velma, my God, what a horrible show. But you know what's going to end up happening? You know what's going to end up? They're going to renew this. This will probably get renewed, and we'll probably end up seeing another season of this hot garbage. Well, no, I'll take that back. We're not going to see it. Y'all probably going to watch it. I'm not watching another season. I feel like I wasted time out of my life, and I'm getting to the point in my life where I'm looking at, you know, looking at my mortality. So every second counts, and to give up what 30-minute episodes, 10, yeah, like I said, 5 hours of my life like that. Nah. Time is precious, and I can't get it back. And I feel I feel like I'm old. I'm old sometimes. But anyways, everybody, thank you for joining me. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love one another. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.